has been a couple of months that I spent my time studying many great works of art. Then I asked to myself, what is a great work of art? A perfect composition, a powerful and marvelous painting, or an exquisite sculpture? Many more masterpieces that were contributed to the mankind. And yes, they are incomparably great in their ways. But there is one artwork that its profound meaning and emotion can penetrate directly into my mind and encourage me to think deeply. Poems. Who knows that without any shape, sound, or color, the language itself can create such a great imagination and powerfully influence our worldview? And when we think about Western poems and literature, one name would definitely come to our mind. Who doesn't know Shakespeare? Shakespeare is undoubtedly the most famous Western playwright of our time. His plays are performed again and again in many versions, both on stage and in film. You must have heard these well-known plays: Hamlet, Macbeth, The Tragedy of King Lear, Othello, and of course Romeo and Juliet. However, Shakespeare was also a great poet, and one of his works is probably the most beautiful lyric poem written in English language, the Sonnets. Shakespeare wrote a collection of 154 love sonnets. They were published in 1609, but the language used might suggest that Shakespeare wrote them during the early 1590s. The sonnets themselves speak in the first-person voice of the emotional lover. They describe many aspects of love, and seem to be the love experience of the author. This is why the sonnets are especially interesting. Remember that in 37 plays Shakespeare wrote during his lifetime, he created hundreds of characters with different ideas about love. So we never know the way Shakespeare really thought about love, and also never touched his love experience. If the sonnets are actually a Shakespeare love diary, it can be a key to unlock Shakespeare's heart.
Before we get into the subject matter of the sonnet, we should understand their form and learn how to correctly interpret the hidden message in each sonnet. A sonnet is a 40-line lyric poem with 10 or more syllables in each line. A sonnet can be divided into 4 parts. The first 3 parts, each of which is 4 lines long, are called the quatrains. Quatrains normally begin with questions or metaphors which express ideas or experience of the poet. The last 2 lines of each sonnet are called the couplet. Couplet is the most important part of each sonnet since it summarizes ideas or presents a twist on its earlier discussion.
What makes Shakespeare's sonnets so unique and worth studying? Well, one reason is that Shakespeare's sonnet can be considered as the beginning of modern love poetry. Before Shakespeare, Petrarch's love sonnet by Francesco Petrarch, a father of humanism, was a traditional form of verse commonly written for 3 centuries. It gave a conventional idea about love by depicting women named Laura as an inspiration and ideal of every man. Shakespeare's sonnets, however, broke the rule and expressed the meaning of love in a completely revolutionized way. He violates the gender role, uses pornographic puns again and again in many sonnets, and parodies the beauty of women like Laura. So we can say that Shakespeare parodies the traditional Petrarchan sonnets too. Anyway, despite the secret sexual desires and puns we can imply from the verse, the sonnets also mention strongly about the profound issues of life under the universal and timeless themes of love, beauty, and time.
The first theme, which can be seen throughout the sonnet, is of course love.
And as I have said since the beginning that the sonnet seems to be the love diary of William Shakespeare, so we are now exploring the life of this great poet. And as we go further and further, we can recognize quite obviously that the love Shakespeare mentioned in the sonnets is not only the love between a man and a woman.
It is accepted among the critics that from Sonnet 1 to 126, Shakespeare addressed the love between himself and the fair young man, whereas Sonnet 127 to 152, Shakespeare, however, addressed the complex love between himself and the dark lady. Apart from the love triangle issue, Shakespeare remarkably packed entire spectrums of love into his poem.
In contrast to the romantic poems we are familiar with, Shakespeare depicted love as a sickness. Love in the sonnets causes pain, worry, fear, jealousy, and it usually comes with lust. And lust is very dangerous.
Lust is pleasure, murderous, bloody, and full of brain. It turns human to be savage, extreme, rude, cruel, and not to trust. Lust blinds true love, but leads people to make love. However, Shakespeare believed that making love is not a sentimental act of true love, but no more than a physical need.
Sonnet 116 is widely quoted in weddings since it impressively defines the true love.
Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
This sonnet suggests that Shakespeare had an ideal idea about love, and he solely believed in his idea. Unfortunately, we can imply from other sonnets that he didn't experience the true love as he wished.
Apart from love, beauty and time are the two main themes that we can observe from these sonnets. Metaphor is used wisely to demonstrate these two abstract words.
In the first sonnet, Shakespeare symbolized the perfect beauty of youth as beautiful, fragrant rose. In other sonnets, flower is beauty, but weed is ugliness. Young person is like a green lush leaf, while old person is like a barren tree. From these sonnets, we can imply that Shakespeare admired beauty so much. In contrary, he depicts time as a serious enemy of beauty, and mostly, time wins over beauty. When people get older, their beauty gradually fades away and completely vanishes when they die.
However, it is a disaster to let beauty vanishes from the world like this. To maintain beauty forever, Shakespeare suggests two methods, and these methods establish the most important issue to this sonnet.
One way is having children. In the first two lines of Sonnet 1, it says, "From fair creators we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die." So Shakespeare encouraged the young man to marry and have children in order to carry on his aesthetic value to the next generations.
Another way is immortalizing the beauty through words. Although the young man must get older and die, his beauty will be paused in the form of word.
And as long as we still read these sonnets, the beauty of the youth will remain. With these two methods, beauty can win over the cruel hand of time.
The last element that makes Shakespeare's sonnets so unique and worth studying is the mysteries. There are many ambiguous questions left unanswered. Although critics and researchers try to solve the problems, it seems impossible to succeed since very little is known about Shakespeare's private life. We will discuss the most arguable questions together. Since the sonnets comprise of dramatic elements like love, lust, and betrayal, just like a fiction, some critics mention the possibility that the poetry is made up, and Shakespeare just wants to parody the Patachon sonnet. However, it is also reasonable regarding the sonnets as Shakespeare's autobiography. Though Shakespeare didn't specify the names of the characters in the sonnets directly, there's a pun that can be interpreted as the name of his real wife, Anne Hathaway. In Sonnet 145, the couplet says, "I hate the way she threw, and saved my life, saying not you." Hathaway in the couplet pronounces closely to Hathaway, his wife's name. So Shakespeare mentioned a real name of his real wife, but didn't specify name of other characters. Why should he create such a controversial issue like that if it was just another fiction he wrote? Maybe he refused to include the names since they belong to the real persons. The second mystery comes. If a fair young man is a real person, who is he? Since his beauty inspired Shakespeare to write the sonnets, we can expect that Shakespeare might dedicate the sonnets to the young man. The first publishing of the sonnets in 1609 was dedicated to an only begetter, Mr. W.H. So who is Mr. W.H.? Scholars believe that Mr. W.H. could be either Henry Wriothesley, Earl of Southampton, or William Herbert, Earl of Pembroke. When we consider their age and social class, we can see that they are good candidates. And this issue leads to the last mystery. Was Shakespeare a homosexual?
When we consider the first 126 sonnets, which are widely accepted as a love poem to a man, we can suspect that the relationship between Shakespeare and his fair youth was much stronger than just being friends.
Sonnet 126 begins with, "O thou, my lovely boy," and in Sonnet 20, Shakespeare even mentioned a man as master mistress of my passion. But was this a sexual relationship or just a great admiration of beauty? Well, that is still in debate.
Some say that Shakespeare didn't intend to publish the sonnet. No matter it is true or not, the sonnet has been known for more than 400 years. This is because the sonnet contains both the profound meaning and perfect metaphors, and above all, it revives the exalted conventional poetry. For a piece of art, is it deserved to be called a great work of art? I think yes.